ESPN and the Professional Bowlers Association present the Pinellas Suncoast Pinwheel Senior Open. And welcome everyone to Seminole Lanes, located in St. Petersburg, Florida. Hi everybody, I'm Denny Schreiner along with Mike Durbin, and we're here with the final PBA Senior stop of the 1992 season, the finale as it were, and of course the excitement in terms of Bowler of the Year, Mike. It's a crescendo here this evening. We have the top three players, the top three candidates. They're all on the telecast tonight. Now my question to you, is Gene Stus, much like Bill Clinton, the front runner in terms of Bowler of the Year?
Well, I definitely would have to say, Denny, I think he is the front runner right at this time. But speaking of the big three, as we can look at this graphic right here, our big three are Stas, Handegard, and Her-Sina. We see that Stus has 2 titles. Handegard has 11 match play. He has 12 cashes. He's leading in average. Her-Sina won last week, can make it 2 in a row. One stat that doesn't show up there, though, is that John Handegard has 3 seconds to go along with his first. So if he would win here tonight, he would have 2 firsts and 3 seconds. The voters look at things like that.
And speaking of things that the voters might look at, Gene Stus, the first and only senior ever to shoot 300 on national television.
Well, that weighs heavily in everybody's mind. It's such a monumental thing on the senior tour. So, you know, Gene is definitely the front runner, but it's not over till the fat lady sings.
All right, now let's go from the big three to the long shot in this one tonight. He kind of eked his way up through the finals, and next thing you know, Jim Brown qualifies for the first time ever in his career.
Well, he has a great name in Jim Brown, as we all know, the football player, but this guy's a school teacher. He's 58 years old. It's his highest finish ever. He has to be somewhat intimidated. Even though he's a very mature individual, he's definitely the long shot.
Last week, Robert Gibbs nearly won, finishing second. He loves the state of Florida. Told me he drilled up a new spare ball. It's made all the difference in the world, and he is our top seed.
Well, you know, he won in Naples last year. He loves bowling in Florida. He told me that he's put away some of these high resin balls. He's going more with a little harder surface and a little bit more speed. And suddenly he's carrying the last 2 weeks. And when Robert Gibbs can carry, he throws a lot of strikes.
Just one other question for you, Mike Durbin. Our 5 finalists averaged nearly 240 on the championship round pair.
And I'll tell you what, then, I look for high scores tonight. The lanes are beautiful. I really look for some high scores and some close, exciting matches.
All right, and speaking of close, exciting matches, we've got a duel from 60 feet between the 2 players that are vying for Player of the Year honors, Gene Stus and John Handegard. Gene Stus to open the match. Championship round pair, 19 and 20.
And what an opening match between these 2 guys.
Well, good pocket shot, but he leaves the solid 10.
And you know, John, Dan, we bowled the last 8 games of match play earlier this morning, and Gene said that all day today and Wednesday he's been fiddling back and forth. He's lost his carry, and he's trying to change balls, speed, angle, any little thing he can to get that carry back, and so far he hasn't been able to get it.
Has to hang on and does so. It's interesting you mentioned that, Mike, because Gene told me that he had 3 games this morning where he did not miss the pocket, and all 3 games were in the 180s.
That gets very frustrating for a bowler. The object is to strike, but you have to get it to the pocket to do that. When you're getting it there and you can't strike, you don't know exactly what to do many times.
Handegard right up the track, and he strikes on his opening shot. And I'll let you deliver the scenario in terms of how Mr. Handegard even made it into the final 5.
Well, he went into that position round game 105 pins behind the 5th place bowler, Will Strickland. Shot 259, needed a strikeout in the 10th frame to make it, and did it a magnificent performance. 10 strikes, 2 10 pins, made up 105 pins, and went from 7th to 5th.
And now he's thinking about going from 5th to 1st. Wants to open with a double. That one climbs a little high on the head pin. Fortunate to leave just the 610.
And it looked like he slipped at the foul line. I mean, there was a little double take there with his slide step. And that's the worst shot I saw through the whole practice session. An hour of practice right there. He's fortunate leaving only the 610.
Handegard averaged 237.6 on this pair of lanes. Already has 6 senior titles, 1 victory this year. He's trying to win for the 2nd time here in '92. Straightens it out even more so to convert the spare.
He doesn't turn it at all at the spares, and especially the right lane spares. He just throws straight at him. You know, he's an excellent spare shooter. He's kind of laughing at the way he threw that last shot. Wanted to get out ahead of Stus, because Stus has a way of getting out ahead and never looking back.
Got a handful and another solid 10, and you can see the disappointment right there. The shoulders slump a little bit. That was really a fine shot.
And you saw the trust right there all the way through, and he's thinking, what do I have to do? You know, that's been happening all day. And this is a different ball. He switched to this ball about the last 10 minutes of practice in hopes that it would carry.
I know this is a mute point, but what do you do when you're not striking and hitting the pocket? I mean, do you just keep waiting for a break? You just try and be patient and keep throwing the same shots?
You retire and become an announcer.
Good point.
There he is, upright, 5 steps. Look at the intense concentration. Now he pushes it down. The ball's right in time. Now let's watch it at the top of the last step right here. He's at the peak of the backswing. Not real deep knee with the bend. The ball, I mean, his knees as he lets go of the ball. And when he comes up, it's after the ball is gone.
Looking for an X. Light hit. Told me the light hit yesterday was by far and away the best for him, and now he leaves the 7-pin, so he's already had a variety.
Well, I would have to say that during the course of the week, now, there were more 7-pins left than 10s. That light hit left 7 pins a lot of times during the course of match play.
Did it have company on occasion?
On occasion, but not too often.
Hard and cross lane, so another spare for Gene Stus. Both of these players trying to win this opening match to put an exclamation point in terms of who should be player of the year.
Well, there's something personal about this match too, Dan.
That's high. And another break for Handegard, who can't believe it. That was either a very poor shot or he needs to move.
No, he doesn't need to move. He needs to execute better right now. He's trying to get the ball to go straight into the pocket, and he's just yanked the last 2. See, you kind of bounce there on that right lane. That ball does that a little bit. There's a little double dribble in there in the head area of the lane. That won't affect our next bowler, by the way. Jim Brown sets it down very early, and that won't bother him at all. The classic style of John Handegard. Pushes the ball in steps together. Free swing from the shoulder. Look at how steady the head is. Perfect timing. Perfect right there. Square, slide. I mean, you look at that and you say it had to go in the pocket, but it didn't.
With the magnitude of this match, do you think that both these guys might be pressing a little bit?
I definitely think that's true. Yeah. I mean, I think it's evident in the way John has thrown those last 2 shots.
Gene Stus was trying to have some fun with John during the practice. John took a piece of tape out, put another one back in, and Gene said, oh, I think you need 2 or 3 more pieces in that thumb hole. The handyman barely cracked a smile.
Well, it's interesting here. We've had 1 strike out of, what, 7 shots? They averaged almost 240 on this pair, and I probably put the kiss of death on the whole show when I said that there were going to be high scores and close matches.
For those of you that are keeping score, these 2 players have bowled each other 4 times in their career in the championship round, and they are 2-2.
Okay, the rubber match, as he says a little high. The 2 trips the 4, but the 6 is standing there. Interesting hit there to leave the 6 on that type of hit. Didn't look that high to have the 4-6.
Even match through 3.5 frames, but one would suspect that between Stus and Handegard.
You would just expect a few more strikes.
Here comes one.
A little late kick of the 6 on that 10. A little flick there, you know.
Hands over the head in triumph as Gene gets a strike, and we'll see if he can double. Last week, he missed the tournament, Gene Stus that is, because of health problems, and I asked him if he's back to 100%.
Well, Denny, I went back home and I had some tests done, and the doctors checked out and found my heart was pretty good shape, and they gave me the okay to come back for the last tournament, so here I am.
And a double up and the lead for Gene Stus, who has had bypass surgery on 2 different occasions.
On 2 different occasions. Yeah, everybody on the tour was quite concerned. He's a very popular person out here.
He's a great champion and a great competitor, but you're right. He's one of the nicest people out here. Handegard misses way left again. Looks down at the foul line and can't believe how far he missed the target by on that shot.
And now he's counting the boards and saying, "Ooh, did I throw it that bad?"
Let me ask you this. Is he afraid to throw this ball right?
He's been trying to play the tight line. I think, yes, he is. He threw the last one a little bit right, and it hooked a little bit early and went high. Right now, he's lost.
On that shot, you could see him make sure that he directed the ball out towards his target, and that would have been a nice pocket hit.
Might have been on the light side. Again, he's playing almost a fallback shot from 10-11, and suddenly the ball's not falling back.
Suddenly the ball's hooking early.
Yeah.
That's not going to work.
No, but John is talented enough. He can make an adjustment in the middle of the game.
Trying to get a strike on the board. This one tries to fall back, almost holds pocket, and it's a solid 4-pin.
And, you know, Gene Stus steps up and throws 2 more strikes. This match could be history in the 7th frame.
Handegard trails by 13. Opened with a strike, but it's been spare city since that point.
And only 1 ball in the pocket.
All right, Handegard trailing Gene Stus in a match that very well could determine the PBA Senior Player of the Year. We'll be back to St. Petersburg right after these messages. Championship round finals of the Pinellas Suncoast Pinwheel Senior Open are being brought to you by Pinwheel Systems Incorporated, a revolutionary idea in bowling teaching products. By Anheuser-Busch, who proudly brings you Family Talk. Let's stop underage drinking before it starts. And by McDonald's, home of the new McDonald's Guarantee. Biggest shot of the week right now for Gene Stus, who is on a double, leading by 13.
And coming back out of the commercial, you know, his tendency sometimes in these situations is to rear up and break the elbow. Let's see if he can stay down and make the good shot.
Got plenty of it, maybe too much. No, flush in the pocket, and Stus comes up with a key shot.
And that ball definitely held pocket all the way down. He came up at the line real quick, you know, but he had a little extra speed. Watch how fast he comes up with this shot. Here he goes in the timing. Now watch the slide. Now he starts coming up now. He had a little extra speed, and the ball held pocket right there. It looked like it might snap over for trouble, but it didn't.
Could be trouble for Handegard if Stus strikes again. He would lead by 33. Plenty of room to the right. Comes whistling back. Oh, Stus with a beautiful 4-bagger has just plain put the heat on Handegard.
Yeah. John's in a better strikeout situation. More room.
Well, that was what I was supposing all along. He went a little right with that ball in 2-4-5 that he just didn't have the reaction on that right lane.
He moved his feet too, Dan. He moved his feet maybe 2 and 1. 2 with the feet, 1 with the target, and the ball just didn't make it back. He's in a situation he didn't want to make a big move like that. I mean, not that that's an enormous move, but in the TV show, it's definitely a gamble, and didn't pay off. 2-4-5.
Nice conversion of the 2-4-5 for Handegard, but time is now running out for the former PBA Player of the Year.
And the best he can get if he wires it out is 222. Gene Stus right now going into 228 pace. So Gene is remaining the front runner.
There's John Handegard, who says, well, I'm going to finish better late than never at this stage. I know I can strike out and maybe put a little heat on him and shoot 222. Gene Stus out of Allen Park, Michigan. 6'2", 225 pounds. Strong, powerful player. Trying to fit that shot in there again. Michael, he got away with one on the right-hand lane.
Well, he's getting a lot of breaks right now. He hasn't had really one shot dead flush in the pocket except for the one in the 8th frame here, the 7th frame here. You see the little double dribble there again, the bounce? The 2-pin goes and trips the 4 out of there. Handegard hit that same hit, left the 6-pin. Stas strikes, and that's the difference in the matches many times.
4 more in a big game of 268. See, I told you they'd shoot some scores. Light hit, fortunate that there is no company, and Gene Stus will shoot the 5-pin. Wonder what Jim Brown is thinking at this point in time. Never appeared in the championship round, and he'll get a chance to face Gene Stus, the #1 senior player on the tour.
Well, hey, he says if you're going to win, you might as well beat the best.
Hey, start at the top. If he could beat Stus, he probably figures, hey, I know I can handle the other two, Her-Sina and Gibbs. Oh, jeez, what a handful those two are.
And Handegard wants a re-rack on the right lane. At this point in the scenario, I might be saying to myself, what in the world do I want a re-rack for? I haven't hit the pocket yet here, you know, so.
Well, maybe he's just trying to buy a little extra time.
No, he knows he has to strike out here and to have any prayer. I mean, there's still a faint glimmer out there, but he must strike out.
Some of the other high games this week, Hobo Booth with the only perfecto. Gene Stus shot 290. There's the fallback that didn't fall back for John Handegard. So really it was lane 20 that spelled the problem for him here tonight.
And, you know, he made a move back with his feet to where he was from the 245, and he's just locked out in between. I mean, you get in that situation and what flashes through your brain is no area.
So then the swing tightens up a little bit. You lose concentration when you're already out of the match. And that's going to mean a 5th place finish for John Handegard, who will wrap up another outstanding year on the PBA-Senior-Tour.
But he's disappointed. It's amazing, you know, he 11 match play finishes, 3 seconds, another first, 2 other fourths. Now it's a 5th here, but he's disappointed.
Overall now for John Handegard, 19 and 14 in the championship round, which is a very solid final 5 slate.
And that's a lot of games too. I mean,
you're not kidding. Well, he's made 19 telecasts as a senior. Better than 6 a year. That's half of them.
His average check is over $3,500 for this year. So.
Well, I know one thing. 2 years ago, you'd have never seen John Handegard come back in a losing situation and have fun with the crowd. But that's how much he's grown emotionally and confidence-wise out here.
Well, I like that. You come back. I have fun anyway. You know, so.
Yeah, regardless of the outcome, it was a great week. What an unbelievable comeback to even get to the telecast. So John Handegard will finish 5th, shoots a game of 180. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, Gene Stus could still shoot 247. But it was, and if it happens, I don't know, not the kind of 247 game that would scare you.
Right. See, that the shot that he came back out of commercial was similar to this one right here, but a little bit harder. And that ball held where this ball turned over and left the 4-6-7.
Stus with a split and a smile. Normally those two don't go together on the PBA Senior Tour.
Well, it's always nice when you can open in the 10th and still win handily.
You think he was trying something a little different on the right-hand lane?
No, I really don't.
Okay. Gene Stus, a winner. And when we come back, Jim Brown, not old number 32, but a gentleman from Maryland will be bowling against Gene Stus.
Why One News? Because there's only one New York.
For tonight's Average Builder, I thought I'd like to look at the general topic of spares. You know, spares are really the backbone of the average league bowler's game. For every spare that we miss, we need at least 2 strikes in a row to make up for that spare. So it just stands to reason that the more spares we can make, the higher our average is going to go. The trouble is that with many of us, we don't know exactly where to stand or where to aim to make different spares. Well, there's a new product on the bowling market that does, among other things, tells us exactly where to stand and where to aim to make both single pin spares and cluster spares. That product is called the Pinwheel, and this is it. The way it works is it has the spare combinations on the outside of the disc. On this side of the disc, it has single pin spares. Let's just pick one, for example, the 3-pin. I turn the inside of the disc till it matches up with the 3-pin, and it tells me to move my left foot or my left toe 4 boards left to the middle dot and look at the second arrow to make that spare. It also has a split disc that will fit in like so, if I can get it in here. And we line it up for like the 5-7. It tells me where to stand and where to aim to make the 5-7, the 4-5, the 4-9, or a lot of different splits. What I thought I'd like to do tonight is pick a specific spare, and not an easy spare. Let's pick the 2-4-5-8, better known as the dinner bucket. Now, cluster spares are on the other side of the disc right here. And this is the 2-4-5-8. What it tells me to do is to move my left toe 4 boards right of the middle dot and look 1 board left of the second arrow, and let's see if it works. I line it up, big toe 4 boards right of the middle dot. Look 1 board left of the second arrow. You see, it really does work. You know, many of us pros had to spend long hours of practice and a lot of experimentation to perfect our spare game. But the Pinwheel, well, it makes it easier for all of us. We'll see you again next week from Indianapolis, Indiana at the Touring Players Championship, where we'll have another average builder. And if you have trouble with those spares in the meantime, give that Pinwheel a shot.
And a look back at last game, 222 to 180. Gene Stus, a winner over John Handegard in match number 1. And this week, a little different format. Mike, we had 32 finishers this week.
Right, 32 match play finishers, but they only bowled 24 games. Will Strickland just mixed, and David Toole was next.
All right, and we also had Larry Landis, number 8, and Jim Mahek was number 9.
Our Escondido champion, Mike Samardzija, steady bowler Don Gilman, number 11.
Billy Johnson, 12th this week, and PBA Hall of Famer Dave Davis was 13th.
And the great one, Dick Weber, along with another great one, Dave Sutar, 14th and 15th.
In the number 16 position this week, it was Bill Bonney of Girard, Ohio, and Bobo Booth had the only 300 game this week.
And a new one in the finals, Orville Gordon, along with Harley Trumbull.
Thomas Kelly was 20th, and yes, Tommy Tuttle, number 21.
That's not Tuttle's picture.
No, it's not.
Al Sanford in the finals again, and Jimmy Certain returning after an injured knee.
Told me he's coming back quickly. Our statistician, Jimmy Schroeder, 24th, and Dean Cortain, number 25.
Another super senior, Lamar Bramlett in the final, and a new senior, Les Shearer from out in Oregon.
28th, Jimmy Moore, and PBA Hall of Famer Don Johnson was 29th.
And Frank McCarter, another newcomer, Ernie Strandberg, right here in St. Petersburg.
And to wrap up the finals field, Paul Keppel of Maumee, Ohio. He was 32nd this week. When we come back, it'll be Gene Stus and Jim Brown from St. Petersburg, Florida. Seminole Lanes. Don't go away.
Wednesday night on Top Rank Boxing, the Atlantic City Express, Bruce Seldon rolls into town to face former world heavyweight champion Tony Tubbs. Top Rank Boxing, Wednesday night at 9 Eastern, live on ESPN.
Gene Stus, Jim Brown, ready to face off in game number 2 of the Pinellas Suncoast Pinwheel Senior Open. First time ever down here at Seminole Lanes in St. Petersburg, and they did a wonderful job here hosting this tournament.
They certainly did. They got the community involved, had almost 1,200 Pro-Am entries. They have a marvelous crowd here tonight, maybe the biggest we've had all year. Jerry Krause and his son Kevin Krause are to be congratulated for an outstanding production that they put together here.
Have worked diligently to make this thing go, and they've done as good a job as I've ever seen of anybody in their first year having a tournament.
Yes, they have. And here's, speaking of first, is his first shot. Oh, in the Greek church right out of the gate.
Oh, that's called a nightmare when you dream of bowling on national television and you throw a shot that's a little slow and a little short.
And right through the heart of the pins, the 4, 6, 7, 9, 10. He'll go for the 3. Hope to kick 6-pin over, maybe get 9, and maybe something good would happen.
See if he shoots it back up style. Nope, goes the other way with it. Trying to make something happen, and it doesn't. So for Jim Brown, a disturbing start, but let's see if the 58-year-old pro can bounce back on the left-hand lane, get something started.
Watch his first step here. He puts the weight back on that right heel, and then just a little bitty baby step with that left foot, half a step. Now it's 4 steps from here on out. Long arms, in time, soft speed, but he's square when he gets to the line. Right now he's just nervous. He lost that ball and leaves the 1, 2, 8, 10. And one lane is hooking early and the other lane won't make it back. And this first time on national television, you're bowling the bowler of the year. What else can go wrong?
See, this is one of those cases where you either come out with a double and everybody says, oh, this guy is not nervous at all, but you're scared to death, or you come out and this is what happens to you, the opposite end of the spectrum. Needs to convert it. That would help the cause. Oh, and gets an unlucky break there that the ball went left to the 8-pin. So for Jimmy Brown, a smile. Look at the bright side, James. It can't get any worse.
Let's hope not. Let's hope not anyway.
Breathes a sigh of relief, and I know one thing. He'll bounce back here momentarily. He bowled beautifully this week. Stas going to try and jump all over the opportunity. One would suspect that the big man from up in Michigan would do that.
And he probably made an adjustment off that 10th frame 4-6, moving down the board left. It looks like he's creeping in further left on the right-hand lane. It seems to hook a little earlier than the left lane.
It's amazing how loose that arm swing gets too when your opponent goes open.
And when you get rid of your competition for bowler of the year.
Off the hand nicely, and Stus starts with a 3-bagger. So Jim Brown is up off the bench. Gives Stus a little slap of the palm, and at this point in time, Jimmy is down 44 sticks.
I was thinking he must be down 50 pins already. He's thinking, I haven't even had time to sneeze, and I'm 50 behind.
I'm still breathing short right now. I just want to get loose.
A little more speed. On the Brooklyn, get a break. All right.
Crowd also feeling the tension. They want him to get loose as well.
Yeah.
Hey.
Well, they want to see a close match. The last match wasn't very close.
No.
And this match has all the earmarks of being worse.
Yep.
Now he's switching balls. He switched balls.
Well, when you're down by 44, you might as well take a pop, right?
Gave that room, too much room.
Same result on the left-hand lane, another washout. Just a different variety.
Well, the only good thing about this is he can't leave the 8-pin this time. If he hits it left of the head pin this time, he should know how to hit it left of the head pin. A little more speed, same shot that he threw before might make it.
Average 236 on this pair of lanes. What a difference those lights make. And it's another open for Jimmy Brown. Out of Columbia, Maryland. He wanted me to make sure that I send best wishes to all of his friends in Columbia, Baltimore, and his hometown, Chestertown. And especially his best friend, Pat. Hang in there, Pat. It'll get better. Only trouble is, you got to hope the Stus cools off a little bit so that he's back within shouting distance.
See, the difference here is that with Handegard and Brown, they weren't able to move into the oil on this right lane and send it right and get it back. When they do that, or at least with Handegard, he left the 2-4-5. Gene can move into that oil, send it right, and have the fingers and the power to bring it back.
Uh-oh. Looked like he stood up immediately at the foul line. So the first mental mistake by Gene Stus here this evening is a miss of the 10-pin.
What do we have? 4 opens already. We've only bowled 4 frames between these two guys. Right here, watch him. He's going to come up. Lost it off the hand, just gone. And like you say, just a lapse in concentration. Nice stroke there. Light 2-4-5, and this kind of match is kind of lulling everybody to sleep here, Dan. We need to get some action going to get everybody awakened into these matches.
John Hriscina is next in line. Robert Gibbs, the Texas Twister, is our top seed. Those two guys will provide some excitement.
Well, plus they're going to be able to move in where Stus is
right,
and have enough power to get the ball back.
A little more speed, a little straighter action at the 2-4-5. Stus with a spare and a 45-pin lead. Jim Brown retired from teaching 3 years ago, and of course coached for many years. Coached track for a high school in Maryland, and would very much like to go back to his alma mater, Morgan State, and get involved in the track program.
All right. Said he used to run, what, 800 meters or 880?
The 800 meters, I think.
Ran at 149, he said. That's pretty quick.
I'm going to tell you what. You and I running 400 each couldn't run it at 149.
No, I know it, especially now.
Hey, even
in our prime.
149. Whew. That's moving. How about a double, Jim? He says, I'm not out of this yet. Maybe I can run it off this sheet. So Jim Brown trying to make the comeback of the year, down by 35. That's right, Jim. You can get up and go get yourself a glass of water. We'll be right back. And this being the final senior stop of 1992, we want to extend our thanks to the senior PBA press director, Dick Evans, a PBA Hall of Famer, and to his right, the distinguished one, known perhaps more for his political arguments than his PBA work these days, Bud Fisher, who just has had a birthday and is thrilled to death that Bill Clinton is ahead, and also Rich Weber, who is our senior PBA tournament director. You'll be speaking with him after this game.
Right, and we'd also like to extend thanks to Sandy Curtis and to Jean Miller, who really make the office go when we're out here. Those two gals do everything.
So in other words, Fisher and Evans are on a ride, and the girls are really doing most of the work.
You figured it out.
Okay, well, now that we've got that cleared out. Stus a little high, ends up leaving the 10-pin.
And we see the ball bounce there. That happens a lot on that right lane. Hooks early here, and he's really fortunate to leave only the 10. Cross lane at the 10-pin. He stuck a little bit the last time. Went up and checked it in between frames like a professional. Makes it this time. He got fooled last time.
Let me ask you this. If you do stick, do you move like a board or two right of that area when you shoot it the next time to make sure that you don't?
I think it's the surprise more than the actual stick. If you know you're going to stick, you're ready for it, and you can compensate. Hey, it's only 34 pins then.
To the right, to the left, pocket hit, solid 10.
Could get interesting if Mr. Brown would step up and throw a couple more strikes.
Hey, he's back to within 14.
If he throws 2 more strikes. Yeah.
He's an old track guy. He knows that if you start a little slower, you can always make it up in the home stretch.
See how that oil, where the track right there, you can just see where everybody's been playing. See the worn spot there?
That's a great shot. That's almost like a ski slope, you know, when you can see the people that have already gone down before you.
Right. But that's how you get the picture on urethane finishes of that oil moving around. It pushes it one way and pushes it the other way, it being the ball.
The track of the ball.
Well, just, you know, the ball itself rolling down the lane pushes that oil one way or the other.
Jim Brown would like to push the oil right into the pocket. For 3 in a row. If it holds, oh, Jim Brown says, I'm coming back.
I'll tell you what, one more, this match gets very interesting. There's nothing worse than being way ahead and seeing that lead slip away and knowing that you missed a spare, too.
That's right. It would be 33 now instead of 23 if he strikes here. And Gene is very much aware of that. It's going to tighten up a whole bunch if he strikes here with a 4-bagger.
Right.
Came off early. He's got to hurry. Ooh. Oh, almost got the 2-pin out, but missed by a fraction.
Just not the lift, not the fingers on that ball. It was smooth and almost on line, but like you say, it was off a little quick. Watch it going down the track. See, it's kind of spinning, but not grabbing the lane yet, and it never really grabbed. It turned back, but it's like a tire on ice. It never really bit.
Spare up, gritty effort by Jim Brown, who has fought back to within 24. He is now through 8 frames. Let's see if Stus can counter.
Wow. See that little bounce again? He's moved into a point now. I don't know whether there's more oil left or whether there isn't at this point in time. It doesn't appear there is. Now watch the ball. It bounces on this right lane. And right now you know he's in trouble. And he's saying, break it up. And it doesn't. 6. And he's just going to go for 2. He's going to go for the 6-10.
Trying to slide it over. Gene Stus almost providing a little extra excitement here at Seminole Lanes. Now it's an 8-pin match. Boy, if you'd have told me 5 frames ago that Jim Brown had a chance to win this, I'd have looked at you and said, Mike, you might have been out in the sun too long today.
Right. And if you'd have said, if he strikes in the 9th, the first one in the 10th, he's going to take the lead, you'd have said, you've definitely been out in the sun too long.
What a turnaround here in match number 2.
And Gene has to finish on this right lane again.
Would love to have a strike. Wow, did he give that shot some room, and comes back with a soft 7-pin and a shake of the head.
See, and right now, the situation, if Jim Brown strikes out in the 9th and 10th, he locks out Stus completely. Bowling's an amazing game. They can turn around so fast.
That's what he's thinking. Stus with a spare. Jim Brown knows exactly what he needs to accomplish in order to come away a winner.
And it's interesting. Jim seems to have the right lane pretty well wired the last 2 shots. It's the left lane, and he picked a finish over there, where Stus is struggling on lane 20 right now, just like Handegard did the first match.
Needs a strike. That's left of target. Needs a Brooklyn. Stamped the right foot. And didn't get the 9-pin out.
Solid Brooklyn, I tell you what, it had a chance, but the pin went the wrong way there. It was the head pin, I think it was. It went the wrong way.
Spare up and 3 strikes is 190.
That makes Stus double.
On the right lane.
On the right lane. Tie is possible here too, Dan. Anything can happen at this point in time. You know, the scores are not high, but it's definitely a tight, exciting match. The first strike is just so important for Mr. Brown. Confidence-wise, I mean, if he does this, it just will be a surge of confidence into him. Too much room. 2, 4, 5.
All the way.
All the way. That was his mistake every time. 3 times on that lane. In fact, 4 times. 2 washouts, a 2-pin, and now the 2, 4, 5. And he's basically just handed it to Stus.
Spare and a strike would give him 177. It's amazing. Average 236 on this pair of lanes throughout the week.
And when Stus can't afford any more double pinnacles, it'd be interesting to see the adjustment he makes on this right lane. It's a 12-pin match. A strike gives him 177. If Stus would go 9 out, that would be a tie. So he needs, if he strikes, it's some kind of mark that he'll need.
See if he makes the adjustment. Yeah, he got more of this one. Tightened up the line, hit the pocket. Yep, just not enough frames for Jim Brown to figure out the left-hand lane.
And still, that heart's beating pretty fast. Right
Oh,
now.
yeah.
It's probably beating pretty fast for Stus right now, too. What am I doing on this lane? He's fudging left.
My guess is he'll give it a bunch of room and try and rip the cover off it, which is what he did, and whistled the 6 around the 10.
He's missed this once earlier this game.
But he knows he's going to stick now.
I know, but he didn't go back up and check the slide or anything at this point in time. He's got to make this to win the match. If he misses, we got a tie. See that 6-pin whistle around the 10. Very little time.
Hard and straight. Will it hang on? Yes, it does. And I know one thing. 61 feet, and that one's in the channel. But, hey.
Gene says, this one ain't hooking. I'm going right at it.
Oh, a sigh of relief for Gene Stus, who got off to an early lead, led by 50, well, make it 45 pins at one stage, and had that lead just dissipate before his eyes. Got back to within 8. Nice smooth stroke here. Got a little deeper, and he's still having problems on the right-hand lane, but Jim Brown finally subdued, and Gene Stus will move along into match number 3. Jim Brown, with a beautiful effort, finishes 4th here this week at Seminole Lanes. When we come back, Mike Durbin will chat with Rich Weber concerning the PBA Senior
Friday night live on ESPN.
Coming your way on ESPN on Saturday. Iowa will play at Illinois on Saturday afternoon beginning at 12:30 p.m. Eastern time. And then, of course, game number 2. They'll be interested in that down here in the state of Florida. The Seminoles will play at Georgia Tech, and that game starts at 4 o'clock. And then later on that evening, number 7 Colorado will host Oklahoma. And that one starts at 7:30. A look back, Gene Stus with a 10-pin conversion in the 10th frame sneaks past a resurgent Jim Brown, 187 to 177. Standing by now with our Mike Durbin is the PBA Senior Tournament Director, Rich Weber. Gentlemen, take it away.
Thank you, Denny. And as you said, we have our Senior Tournament Director here, Rich Weber. And I'd like to talk a little bit, Rich, about the Senior Tour. It's relatively new. Why don't you tell us, where did it start and when did it start?
It started in New Orleans in 1981, and we had 72 entries into that tournament.
72. Were you there?
No, I wasn't there.
You weren't there. You weren't old enough to be. You're not old enough to bowl yet, are you?
Not yet, no. I've got 8 more years to go.
Okay. All right. We have one tournament that year back in 1981. Tell us a little bit about the growth of the Senior Tour.
In 1985, we had 5 senior tournaments. 1992, now we've got 12 tournaments this year. This is our 12th tournament this year.
What about the money? How are we doing money-wise on the Senior Tour? What are we bowling for this year?
This year, we're bowling for just shy of $1 million. And next year, there's a plan to bowl for more than $1 million.
Okay. What about the numbers? How many members do we have in the senior organization?
Just shy of 900 members.
Just shy of 900 members. In an average tournament that we had this year, what would you guess was the entry in an average tournament?
I can give you an exact amount. We averaged 242 entries per tournament this year. We had one tournament where we had 424.
424. Well, we can see that the Senior Tour is extremely popular with bowlers all over the country. It's growing. How big can it get? And can Gene Stus keep shooting scores big enough to beat John Hriscina and then move on to bowl Robert Gibbs? We'll find out in just a minute. Don't go away.
Live on ESPN.
Welcome back to St. Petersburg, Florida, where it was 85 and sunny today.
Beautiful. The last 3 days here have just been gorgeous. I mean, no humidity. Yeah,
right?
It wouldn't be bad to live down here.
Terrific weather. John Hriscina. Well, he'll take his licks. Throws the first shot, leaves the 3-6-10. Just didn't get it far enough right.
Well, it's the overreaction there, Dan. I mean, it's getting to the point that as the lanes break down, as the guys are throwing balls and moving that oil around, that they're breaking down in a funny situation right now. The guys are getting skid and early hook, and that makes for moderate scores or low scores.
Her-Sina scrambles the 3-6-10, and he's looking to come up with the same performance that he had a week ago in Naples, where he finally got the gorilla off his back. He had lost 8 matches in a row in national television.
And you know what one of the hardest things for John is? He has to sit down now and watch Gene bowl. He never sits down when he's bowling in qualifying or match play.
Stus tries to get the light shaker. A 7-pin wiggles back and forth, but will not fall. Well, that does throw your timing and your tempo off.
Well, it's just his personality. He doesn't like to sit. He's fidgety. I mean, the feet are pounded right there. I mean, he wants to get up and move around. He can't do it. It's against the rules right now.
Really?
Well, I mean, policy. Let's say that. It's not spelled out in a rule in the book, but it's just always been policy that the players sit in that chair. Now, he'll get up and move over to the other one. It gets him a chance to do something while the guy is going to the other lane to bowl.
All right. Gene Stus felt that if he didn't win tonight, he would still have a pretty good shot at being the player of the year. I asked him that question. We chatted about it, and this was his response.
No, I don't feel I have to win. I've had a pretty good year, and even though I missed the last 2 tournaments, I've got 2 titles. John wins, he'll have 2. Either John wins, I'll have 2 titles, and it'll just make it close. I don't know if I have to win to get bowler of the year, but it'll make it close.
All right, now all Gene has to do is get Ron Bell's pinwheel out, spin the dial, and try and figure out how to make the bucket.
Well, I made it on this lane. If he can make it, then certainly.
I hope Gene was listening. Hope Gene was listening when you had that tip.
Yeah. Well, Ron, I'm sure he's got a spare pinwheel there for him.
Oh, yeah.
Never a doubt.
I don't think Gene's ever missed an average builder. 3 years ago, he was only averaging 170.
All right.
Well, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Like
Yeah.
220. Her-Sina never wastes much time loading up and letting it go. All right, he's finding the same problem. He's trying to get deep and turn it more, but that ball hooked early.
Well, he didn't give that the room that he needs to give it on that right lane. The ball is not going to hold pockets. You've got to circle. The trouble is, you circle too much and you got the dinner bucket. So
if you don't circle enough, you got the nose.
There's Kevin Krause and his wife Marianne. Did an excellent job here this week. Again, 1,200 Pro-Am entries, your first tournament. Plus, you got the whole community involved with the tournament.
Yeah, people have really enjoyed the players without question, and the outstanding bowling. Her-Sina with a strike. Hard to believe he made the finals by a single pin and ended up second.
Just snuck in there. Look at this power. Just rips the cover off the ball. 6-pin just kind of leans on the 10. There we see from 15 out to 5. 10 boards.
Dream on, Mr. D. Dream on. Stus with a strike of his own. Two of the top players on the PBA Senior Tour. Who will be the star next year? Be a bunch of brand new 50-year-olds coming out here trying to spank the big three.
That's true. Gary Dickinson will be out.
Dickinson's 50?
He will be shortly. He'll be 50 in March, but it's March 16th. If we see Stus sending it from 11.
I can't believe it. He looks like he's 40.
Ooh, bringing it back from right field.
Gene Stus with a double answers back. Has an 8-pin lead. Now let's see if John Hriscina can warm up here on the right-hand lane.
More room. Ooh, the 7-pin a little late, but it went.
Just enough room.
Yeah, just enough room. As Sue says, all right. This is serious business here.
Two of the nicest guys out here, too.
Yeah, definitely.
2-pin match. Her-Sina could take the lead.
Interesting thing about John Hriscina is he sleeps very little at night. Only about 3 hours a night.
Whack.
He says if I sleep too much, I'd be dreaming of strikes like this, you know. So
he wants to wake up and go throw strikes. That's what he's interested in doing.
He just is that type of individual. He's just on edge a little bit. He'll toss and turn everything. Can't go to sleep. Doesn't evidently need much sleep. He's got lots of energy.
He's also got a 3-bagger and a 12-pin lead. Let's see if Gene Stus will answer the call. You know it. Two of the best out here right now going right at each other. Trading strikes.
Stus has evidently figured out what he needs to do on this right lane.
John has his attention, too.
Well, Jim Brown got his attention there for a while, too, but he
sure
was lost
did.
on that right lane for a while. Already, Her-Sina asking for a re-rack on lane 20. Boy, that was a good shot.
4-pin. Breaks up the possibility of a 4-bagger.
Just a hair tight. The ball finished hard at the end, and the 2-pin sails around the 4. The 9 was up there for a split second. Oh, what a mistake. He missed the 4-7 earlier when he left the 4-6-10 in the 10th frame.
That one will come back and get him. I'll guarantee you that right now. Stus with a miss of the 4-pin. And now Her-Sina leads by 15.
Opens just like that.
As opposed to a chain, and if you've ever seen a chain on a bicycle, you'll know that a jerk, 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 jerk,
Genie Screw Drive, built for a lifetime.
While we were away in the 7th frame, John Hriscina left the baby split and missed it. It's a 1-pin match as he threw a pretty good shot on the left-hand lane, left the solid 10-pin.
Her-Sina throws hard and straight at these spares, and it just sailed by the 3-pin. Got to hit the 3-pin in order to make that spare. Next time you use the pinwheel, it'll show you how to do it. Nice stroke. Oh, boy, was that a pretty shot and a solid 10. I mean to tell you, this game will drive you to drink.
6-pin just wrapped around the 10, but it never touched it.
In closer to the third arrow, circling it out. 6-pin whistles around the 10. He's made several of these before, missed one, but he has this one. So what we have, Den, is a 3-frame match. 1 pin the difference. Her-Sina has it.
So now it's a sprint to the finish line.
Exactly.
Good news is Gene Stus gets to finish on the left-hand lane.
That is good news. By Her-Sina's choice.
Well, he must have liked the right-hand lane.
Must have thought he did.
I really like that comment. Once in a while you get fooled, right?
Yes, definitely. I've been fooled so many times in my career.
That's why you can come up with that one. A false sense of security, as it were. And just when you think you got a lane, it up and grabs you, just like that. Well, I said Gene Stus was going to pay for missing that 1-pin spare, but as it stands right now, he's still liable to slip out of this match and get to the title.
You just don't win throwing back-to-back splits on that lane and then getting 8 out.
Well, fastball for Her-Sina.
That ball must hook in the middle of the lane. At that, we've seen 3 quality players miss that 4-pin on the left.
I think the one shot that we did see of the oil pattern down there in the last 5 feet of the lane really gave us a very good description of what happens to that oil pattern.
Right.
Let's see if we can. Well, it's hard to see with all the pins in the glare. Oil's moving all the time. That's what makes this such a tough game. And you toss one in there that you think's a strike, and you leave a 10.
And leave the soft 10, and he's just buried himself. He has buried himself. You can see there the worn path right there all the way. And how far that oil gets carried down the lane. It affects the back end, what the players call the back end. And they lose that back end. And when you lose the back end, you lose carry.
In other words, the amount of hook in the last 15 feet begins to vary with every shot.
And it gets less and less. And so the ball just doesn't hit hard.
Gene Stus in an excellent position to try and win his 3rd title of the year and be the only player to do so.
Boy, that was a quality shot. Same hit that Her-Sina had, but he snapped that weak 10 out, puts himself up 24 pins in a commanding position. Watch the 6-pin. See, that didn't hit as high in the pocket as the last one, but yet it snapped the 10 out of it. And that indicates when you see that heavy roll, which usually means good, solid fingers in the ball.
Trying to finish off the job. And he's doing so nicely.
Did you see that smooth stroke that time? I mean, he went up there with so much confidence on that shot. If he double pinnacles or something there, that never even entered his mind. The only thing entering his mind was just, I've got this match. I'm going to put him away, and he did.
So the 2 tallest and strongest of the players in the field probably this week, Gene Stus and Robert Gibbs, will match up for the title.
Well, I don't know. Arm wrestling match, I'd take John Hriscina against almost anybody.
He's not as tall, though.
No, he's not as tall, but when he comes
point
to
I was
strength.
making. I know one thing, he could bench press me without any problem.
Yeah, probably the 2 of us together.
Yeah. Really a fine performance, other than the miss of the 4-pin. He got lucky. Because Her-Sina went right up and opened after he missed that.
Yeah.
And sometimes that's what you need, a little bit of luck.
Yeah. You don't win match game competitions by opening after your opponent's open. You win them by stomping on him and striking.
Now a little more room. Yeah, of course. Her-Sina hits the pocket, but it's too late. Gene Stus trying to become the only 3-time winner on the PBA-Senior-Tour, but Robert Gibbs is trying to stand in his championship frame. Is brought to you by Midas. For mufflers, brakes, and shocks, nobody beats Midas. Nobody. All right, let's open up championship frame. It was in the 6th frame of game number 1.
And this was coming back out of commercial. It was a chance to take a commanding lead over John Handegard. We were watching to see if he stood up, and he did a little bit, but he threw it a little extra hard. The ball barely held pocket, but it was a flush strike. Key shot of the game.
Stus went on to win by 42 pins over John Handegard in the match of the two players that were dueling for Bowler of the Year. So Gene Stus opened up with a big game, as you could see that he put together a 5-bagger right in the middle of that match. And you're right, Mike, that strike in the 6th frame was really clutch. Let's move on to game number 2 now. And it was, of all things, a 10-pin conversion late in the match.
And he had missed one earlier in the match. He needed to make this, or we would have had a tie match with Jim Brown. He didn't take any chances. Hard and straight, dead at it. And that's a good tip for our average viewer watching. You know, if you don't have the pinwheel, throw it hard and straight.
Gene Stus said, that's enough. I'll get the job done. After an open in the 8th frame, Jim Brown came roaring back after 3 opens in 4 frames. Had a 3-bagger, but it wasn't quite enough. 187 to 177 the final. Then it was Stus' first strike in the 10th frame.
And actually, what we're seeing here is his 9th frame strike. As the ball went a little wide, snapped that 10-pin out of there. That set him up for the 10th, and he put him away in the 10th. But he really wanted this one because he knew that gave him a commanding lead.
Gene Stus with a victory over John Hriscina. So he beat both John Hriscina and Handegard tonight, which is what he was looking to do. Now, Robert Gibbs, out of the state of Texas, is the only player standing between Stus and 3 victories this year on the Senior Tour. It'd be just dead even.
Dead even. Let's see if the match winds up dead even.
It does. Sudden death.
We don't have time for sudden death. Then we can't have it.
Oh, come on, we got plenty of time. Especially if they throw some strikes. Gene Stus out quickly to the right, back to the left, stand up, sit down, 7-10.
Well, you were talking about the 7-pin having company. And, there it is. The only thing good about that is it happens in the first frame as we watch the head pin go, and both of them went in front of the 7-pin. The head pin came back off the wall. The 6-pin lays in the channel.
A bit unlucky to start a title match.
Ooh.
Wait a minute. Stus was trying to make that.
He definitely was trying to make that.
Whew.
Watch it. Ball just falls off in the channel and clips the 10. I've never seen it slid over. He was trying to get anything that could happen. And that almost came back and got it.
Robert Gibbs going to get inside, try and send it out. And
it gives it a little Jerry Brunetti action.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. That was last week. As a matter of fact, Jerry cashed this week here.
And again, evidently there's not oil to move in against, or not a lot of it in there anyway.
Has anybody taken a practice shot outside of 5? I mean, I haven't seen anybody even come close to playing out.
Robert Gibbs doesn't want to go out.
No.
There. That's not his game.
Danger zone. See if that Brooklyn loosened him up. Well, that one went to the right and back to the left. Flush hit for Robert. And he opens with a double.
See, there's still oil left inside on that left lane. The right lane, again, is the one the guy's going to have to master. Stus has done the best job so far of anybody.
Gene trailing by 21.
Hi.
Oh, does he run out of luck?
No, he actually not. He got a nice break there, breaking up that split. He's still in this match. I mean, obviously Gibbs is not lined up on lane 20.
Patience.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you go into a match looking at this, you're thinking, 210 is going to win the match. That's what you're thinking.
He also knows Robert Gibbs is going to throw some strikes, but he also may have a few opens.
That's Robert Gibbs' game.
But with that new spare ball, he's done a better job this week. We'll have to keep an eye on that. Final stop on the PBA Senior Tour in 1992.
But we'll be back next week.
That's right. Touring Players Championship, the Bud Light Touring Players Championship from Indianapolis. 7:30 next Wednesday night. And I'm also told they have an outstanding Pro-Am planned. Over 1,000 people already entered in that, and there's still room for some more. So if you're in Indianapolis and you want to bowl with the greatest players in the world, then head on over to Woodland Bowl, sign up for the Pro-Am, because they've got some beautiful prizes to give away. And You might even get a chance to bowl with Dave Ferraro, the defending champion.
And have a good time. Bowling with the greatest bowlers in the world as Robert Gibbs makes the adjustment on that right lane, and he's been striking. I said, well, what's the difference the last 2 weeks? He said, well, really, I felt like I was bowling pretty well all year long. I just wasn't carrying. The last couple of weeks, I've been carrying. I said, what'd you do different to carry? I said, well, I really don't know. So, I mean, it's a delicate game.
Scientific at times and just plain simple at others. When that 10-pin goes down, or for the left-handers, when the 7-pin goes down, it makes life so much easier.
Yeah.
Janice looks on. I think she's a touch nervous.
Well, she gets more nervous when he has to shoot a single-pin spare, especially a 6 or 10-pin cross lane as he switches to this pink ball.
I'm going to say you might be right there.
Oh, gives it a little pump of the fist there. It says,
it works. It works.
He's 30 up. Stas better start striking. Nice shot.
Needs a little help on the light hit and doesn't get it. I want to bring up one other point. Kind of interesting at this point as we take a look at the light hit here. Last 3 years in terms of the Bowler of the Year race, of course, Earl Anthony had a chance, and really I think most people felt like he was going to win it back in what, 1990 when John Hriscina won.
Right.
Left-handers have not contended for Player of the Year on the Senior Tour.
Just early on in 1990 when he won 3 tournaments that year. The last couple of years, the right-handers have, well, Handegard and Stus have just bowled so well the last 2 years, they've really dominated the field. Her-Sina has made a lot of shows, but he hasn't bowled well in the championship round, and you can't win Bowler of the Year without bowling well in the championship round, or at least he hasn't won in the championship round.
Down by 30. And in the 5th frame. Oh, that's a sight. That's a start. It's a chance, right?
Well, again, the key lane is lane 20. The guy that masters that lane is going to win the match.
$8,000 to whoever wins this match, $4,200. And then, of course, that beautiful trophy will go to the winner. Uh-oh.
Wow, he's getting all the breaks. I'll tell you, when he makes a mistake, it goes Brooklyn, then.
If you're Gene Stus right now, all you're thinking about is plane reservations back home.
Did you see that disgusted look on his face?
I saw the eyebrows both raised. It's like, come on, I don't mind getting beat, but let's get this thing close to the pocket.
Well, I mean, what he said is, 1 Brooklyn is enough.
Enough.
2? No way.
Meanwhile, Robert's just throwing strikes. I don't care if they're on the right or on the left. Just let me get the job done. That one's on the right. Out the window for the washout.
Boy, that surprised him, too. That ball skidded, and I really think he thought it was going to come back.
Oh, I know he did.
We get a look at ground level. See, it's sailing out there. Bites the lane about now, but just too late. Got to get left of the hempen, send it into the 10. Ironic that not a good spare shooter needs to make this spare to keep the pressure on Stus.
New spare ball. Almost a conversion. That's close.
That was definitely very close. That pin just didn't flatten out going across toward the 10.
All right, and open for Robert Gibbs as we take one more look at the near conversion of the washout. Didn't miss by much. Almost bounced that pin back out.
Biggest shot of the game right now for Gene Stus.
Needs a strike. And boy, did that ball flatten out.
The sail, he's just, there's like a switch area in there. You get in, there's one board, and it sails right. You get right, and it hooks early. And
well, we'll take a break here in the title match as Gene Stus stares at the 2-4-5-7. We'll be right back to wrap this one up from St. Petersburg after this.
I'm a real wild one.
When we went to break, Stus was left with this.
And there was a wire hanging down. Gene is anything but wired, but he was wired on this spare as he goes on the left side and makes it perfectly. Actually, that's not a bad way to shoot it. Little lapse in concentration on the left lane, goes high and leaves the 610, makes the spare. 20 pins is the difference, but it's not over yet. Ironic here, Gibbs has 3 strikes in a row on lane 20, but 2 of them on the Brooklyn side.
Robert averaged 235 on this pair of lanes, and the big Texan from Abilene is trying to wrap up a title. Beautiful shot there on lane 20. That was a dandy.
That was a dandy. He's had 2 of them like that. So, I mean, he's all strikes on the right lane. Just kind of varies what side of the head been.
Outstriking Stus 5-2 here in the title match.
And up by 20 pins. Big shot coming up right here, though. Can really put the screws to Mr. Stus right now. Go up 30 pins with a double.
Got ahead of it. And a third Brooklyn strike. Sometimes it's meant to be.
The head pin hit the 5-9, but they almost fell forward. But you see, it was really a strange pinfall. Watch it. Watch the head pin. It hits the 3. The 3 pin, it hit the 3, and the 3 hit the 5 and the 9.
Well, when you stand 10 of them up there and you throw some shots, some crazy things will happen. Definitely. Unfortunately for Gene, they happened in the title match. A strike for Stus on the right-hand lane.
Stus is still potential, or has a potential score of 217. If he wants to win this match, which I know he does, he must strike here.
3 Brooklyn strikes for Robert Gibbs here this evening. That's demoralizing. If
yeah.
one, you're right. 1, you say, okay, he threw a bad shot, I got away with it. 2, life begins to get miserable. And 3, it's just a downright disaster.
Well, I used to have a guy that would tell me, you got to throw that demoralizer in there. That Brooklyn's a demoralizer.
Jeez. Stus trying to give himself a chance and can't rattle the 10 pin out.
See, what's going through his mind right now? Week 10, I hit the 10, pocket leave the 10, and he gets 3 Brooklyns. I mean, that's what's going through his mind.
But an excellent performance, solidifying, I would think, Player of the Year honors and Bowler of the Year honors.
Yes, you know, that's the underlying success story for him, but he wanted to win. He's such a competitor that he's not satisfied without winning.
Gibbs in the spot that you'd like to be in as a top seed. Plenty of room. Whack. Beautiful shot again on lane 20. Well, let's see if he can get it right of the head pin here on 19, but it doesn't really make much difference.
He got it right of the head pin back in the 6th frame or so.
Yeah. Possible 247. Just what you want to do. Storm to the lead, stay there, and put a big number up when you're a top seed. Top seeds have not fared particularly well this year on the tour.
Well, this one's faring fairly well.
That's what he meant to do all along. A nice dice 'em up strike to clinch the victory here in St. Petersburg.
And he's going to finish it out with 2 more strikes. He'll finish with 247. And what is he going to get? 2 more strikes. He's got 10 strikes. He says, hey, 10 strikes, 7 of them in the pocket.
That's right. 70%. Hey, you'd love to throw 10 strikes every game, wouldn't you?
I wouldn't be ashamed of 3 Brooklyns at all. You'd leave enough solid 8s out here to make up for things like that.
Oh, now see, that's the attitude that's really beginning to come through. There's enough great shots that end up with taps that when you get those Brooklyns, you're just supposed to be thankful and go on your merry way. Gene Stus will finish out the match. Robert Gibbs, the winner here at Seminole Lanes, as he captures the Pinellas Suncoast Pinwheel Senior Open. Gibbs misses the 7 pin, but it doesn't make any difference at all as he shoots a game of 235. More than enough to come away with a victory. All right, we'll head to commercial break here. Robert Gibbs with a victory, and he's nodding approval of a win here in the Sunshine State. The championship round finals of the Pinellas Suncoast Pinwheel Senior Open are being brought to you by Pinwheel Systems Incorporated, a revolutionary idea in bowling teaching products. And by Midas. For mufflers, brakes, and shocks, nobody beats Midas. Nobody. And by Bud Light. If you want great taste that won't fill you up and never lets you down, make it a Bud Light. All right, final score, 235 to 187. Robert Gibbs with the victory, and a man who knows what it's like to stand in the PBA winner's circle, Ron Bell, former PBA champion, will present the trophy.
Robert, on behalf of Pinwheel Incorporated, it's my pleasure to give you this championship trophy. Congratulations.
All right, we'll be back to talk further with Robert Gibbs after we take this commercial break. All right, back with Robert Gibbs, the winner, and George Greer, you have a beautiful check to present to our newest champion.
I sure do. Robert, on behalf of the St. Petersburg, Clearwater Area Convention and Visitors Bureau, you're a great champion. We look forward to you coming back next year and defending your title.
I'll be glad to do that. It's been a lovely week, and I'd like to thank Jerry Krause and all the rest of the people around here. They've been great.
You were close last week to winning. What was the difference this week for you?
I didn't run into a left-hander.
Oh. Well, we'll give equal time to those left-handers on our next telecast in 1993. Mike, a question for our champion.
Well, beating an outstanding, probably bowler of the year, Gene Stus, it must be very satisfying for you.
I felt great. I hate that I had to do it with getting all those Brooklyns, but I guess they count.
The book on you has always been Gibbs throws a lot of strikes. You had 10 or 9, I think, in the championship game, and the spares have always been a mystery, but I know you drill up a new ball this past week.
Yes, the pink hammer has been working real good for me, but missed one tonight.
Well,
but it didn't count.
Only when it didn't matter. What's been the difference these last 2 weeks that you bowled so well?
Well, I had my wife with me, and she's been coaching me. I guess that's probably what to do.
Where is Janice? Janice, come on out here quickly. We got 30 seconds. Come on. Be on national television. Here she comes. Just one quick question, Janice. You looked awful nervous when he was bowling in the title match. Did you have a lot of confidence in him?
I did for a while.
For a while? When did you bail out on?
On the Brooklyns.
On the Brooklyns. Well, with the Brooklyns, we'll say goodbye from St. Petersburg, Florida. I hope you've enjoyed the Senior Tour on ESPN. Don't forget to come back and watch champions like this in 1993. Eastern Time, Wednesday, October 21st, live.